Okay, that's right.
Okay, it's ready to go now.
Ready to go.
Do you have to tell Annie, or do you have to tell about delivering groceries on your wagon when you passed you in front of the store?
Yeah, you can start any time. So what do you want to talk about? When you and Ann were little, and you used to play in the attic?
It's kind of crazy, but
Well, it was fun.
We're not children.
well,
Probably.
I was telling them, telling some kids a month or so ago down at Windsor about when Ann and I were born in Haleberry. Ann was born 2 years before I was, and so we were quite close, much closer than Brother Roy, because he's 4 years younger than I, which means he was 6 years younger than Ann.
But when Ann was born, neither of you were there.
Anyhow, the story I was telling was about what do you do in a place like Haleberry when in the winter the snow is up to the top of your house doors and the windows are all. That's not going to work yet.
So what did you do when the doors were up to your? I mean, the snow was up to your doorstop.
All you do is sort of play house, eh? And we used to do a lot of that, just to play house. And one of our favorite snacks during those days when you're rained in, you can't get out, or you can't get out on account of the snow or something. In our house, we had a sort of an attic, a walk-up attic. Actually, it was the second story of the house. It was an attic because I guess it was a sort of a sun ran across the front of it, which was all windows, and it was nice and bright, and lots of mice around there. And,
In the attic?
This used to be our favorite place. Sure.
Do you have names for these mice?
Anyhow, where was I? Oh yeah, we're up in the attic.
For the attic.
Playing house. I was the mother, she was the... No, I was the father. Anyhow. This isn't loaded, is it?
No.
Where are we closing or something?
So you're up in the
Oh,
attic.
no, what year is this?
Oh, you're talking about something you used to eat. Wasn't he talking about something?
Yeah.
Well, one of our favorite snacks then, when you're housebound like that, you've got roll boats and sugar stuff in the house. One of our favorite little snacks was either sun-made raisins or raw rolled oats with sugar sprinkled on top. We used to eat that out of ditches like a snack day. We enjoyed it. And then part of the bit there was the mother and father bit, and the family and other, and there's lots of clothes there to wear if you wanted to become a miner or a soldier or something. There's lots of clothes there for me to put on, or same with Ann, there's lots of clothes there that she could put on, and we used to this is the way kids used to play house, by dressing up in adult clothes and shoes and hats and some of the things we used to do. And my dad always used to look after me pretty good, or us pretty good, in the way of toys and stuff. He never went away with what he would bring us back something or send something back to us. And I think one of my favorite toys in that era of my life was sort of a cast iron fire engine. And one day out in the yard, I had it out there, and Brother Roy came along with a sledgehammer or a hammer or something and smashed it up. Another time.
Why did he do that? I thought you told me that he cut it
Now, wait a minute. See? Badinsky here. This is another time, Bill. In the wintertime up there, even the cats, you have to put them out for a while, but not too long, because their feet freeze and they fall off. You have to take our chickens in at night up there, because their feet would freeze and they'd fall off, yeah. So
Well,
in the
they stand
wintertime,
up if their toes fell off.
well, they all fall off.
Oh.
But anyhow, They'd have the oven.
Oh.
And same applied to
Crispy
cat.
chicken.
We could put the cats out for a very few minutes, but then they'd come back in. And the favorite place for the cats was to sleep under the stove in the wood box. The wood box consisted of a wood box you got at the grocery store, and part of my job was always to get the kindling wood and lay it wood for Mom to do the cooking and the heating. We used to heat with a Quebec heater, but the cooking was all done on a kitchen range, and we burned cordwood in that, and always had to have kindling ready to start the fire in the morning because you went to bed at night and stoke it up for a while, but without coal it doesn't last all night, so in the morning you have a nice cold house and coal stove and everything was starting out cold. And part of my job was to get the kindling wood and the wood ready. Every day there was a job with the carton of wood in the house from wherever. We used to be wood pile out in the back. And the men in the neighborhood, when Dad was away, some of the men would cut the wood for Mom and stack it out there. And we had a starboard by the name of Arthur Hunton. Arthur Hunton was a friend of Dad. Art Hunton. But he always went by Arthur. And he used to stay over at our place quite a bit, so he used to do his share of spreading wood and one another. And we used to, this was part of my job to bring that wood in. And many's the time that we had to bring the chickens in from outside because it was so cold out there, the chickens. Let's have that.
Okay.
Well,
What would happen?
Where
Is it
were-
on?
yeah.
Oh.
Where was Granddad all this time? You said he was away. Was he in the war then? Was he in the war?
Well, Granddad
Or he was a miner, wasn't he? That's right.
wasn't a home person
No.
because when he was home, there was nothing at home. We lived in Haileybury, and all the action was either in Cobalt, which was 5 miles south of Haileybury, or up Prospect there called Kirkland Lake, and Swastika and all around that part of the country. How the miners used to work that, I'd say miners, because this was, he wasn't a miner by trade. Anymore, he was a miner when he was trained in any other particular kind of work, but later on when he went to Windsor, it wasn't because he was a skilled machinist or something for General Motors, but he wanted body, so everybody went to Windsor.
Yeah, but it's your grandfather's miner.
That's right,
So it was a question of going where the work was, and my mother always said she came up to Canada in 907, and I always thought that she worked for a guy by the name of C.C. Farr. He was an engineer or something, and he was one of the founders of the town of Haileybury. I think he was perhaps an associate of the mining school of Haileybury. It's called the mining school of Ontario. It's still there now. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Anyhow, where was I?
So to get the particulars back then, how would Granddad get from Haileybury to Cobalt? Did he take a wagon? Did he take a train? Did he take a bus?
We had a streetcar.
Streetcar?
But he used to work shift work, so I don't know really how he traveled. And,
Was it a horse-drawn streetcar?
No, it was electric.
Yeah.
I'll have you know that Northern Ontario was founded because of what was happening up there. And everything was opening up with the silver mines and the gold mines. Around Cobalt was all still. Cobalt was established 50 years ago before they discovered gold up north and Kirkland Lake. But the thing for most men who were not skilled in some particular trade would be to work either in the lumber mills or the mines. And my father used to work for the O'Brien mine. These were household words in our house. The O'Brien mine was everyday talk, just like General Motors and your dad's was. But My dad worked at O'Brien Mine, and they used to work shift work. And I think perhaps we got more stories from Grandma than we did from Granddad because we saw more of her. But he used to come home with his pieces of humor and stuff. Like, for instance, they talk about the guys had to wear heavy miner's boots or something when they're at work there. And when they go home, they change their boots and leave their work boots sitting there in the locker room or wherever. And one of the favorite tricks for guys was when a guy's gone home, left his shoes there, where they get spikes and spike his shoes down on the floor, you know, like that. And there was always a lot of humorous things like that to hear about. And when they went up. Well, anyhow, this was his mainstay. This was his livelihood, was mining. And in between times, it was it was a way of life up there. The guy would work until he got what he called a grub stake. A grub stake was enough to carry himself, and in the case of my dad, I guess his family, for say a month while he takes out and goes up north to prospect up there, because there was thousands of people up there doing that. And I guess one of the big problems was to claim stake a claim, I guess it was, which meant that they'd mark off a piece of country or a piece of land that wasn't spoken for already, and they would stake it off and go down the claims office and claim it as their stake, as their claim, and work that. And they had to. I think it still holds that a person you have to do so much work on that land in order to maintain that claim. Otherwise you have to give it up and give it back to the government or whoever. But anyhow, he used to, as they say, they used to get ready for these trips up north, and we used to have lots of pictures of the guys getting ready to go up there with their great big haversacks. You must have seen some pictures like that at Grandma's house. These great big bags that carry have to carry everything in there, either their sleeping bags and their clothes, not sleeping bags, but just blankets in it, but their tents and their food. And their food had to consist of something that would carry them for a long time and not too bulky, and it mostly consisted probably of sourdough flour and whatever, a little bit of sugar and a little bit of lard or something like that.
So would they hunt while they were there as well?
Well, probably they did, but I don't think they were prepared to hunt, because I don't think it was that kind of country. But these big bags were, but they weighed probably 100 pounds. You know, if the guy had a good big bag, he'd probably weigh 100 pounds. And they had a great big wide strap on where you've seen pictures of guys that, when you see pictures of voyageurs, and those guys used to have to carry a bag. They would have that big strap around there to take part of the weight of it. And I remember them getting ready for these trips up there. And yes, sure enough.
It's about time.
We lived in tents, and when you talk about hunting with guns and stuff, they always had the problem of bears getting into their grub and into their tents and stealing their food, because the bears were always hungry just like they were. So they had a lot of hardships that we can't realize. Oh, for instance, when I talk about them going up to the areas like Kirkland Lake, the T&NO Railroad, which is the Toronto Northern Ontario Railroad, which was the forerunner of today's Ontario Northland Railroad. We used to go right through Halebury. It used to go within 100 feet of our house. And in order to go up there, they'd go up on the train, I think as far as Cochrane maybe. Then they'd leave the train there because that was the end of the line, eh? And they'd walk the rest of the way into the bush of Kirkland Lake or Goganda, wherever it was, and it was mushing, and then used to wear some of the boots were called moccasins, and And also there was rawhide. I think they were rawhide. They were well oiled and they were very thick and a lot warmer than the moccasin types. So I just want to pick up that part of it. But getting back down to Haileybury, I can remember when I was a kid. I was 10 years old when I left Haileybury, so I'm talking about the time when maybe I was 5 or 6 years old. It's funny how you can remember these things, but I can remember it now. Later than I probably could have remembered it 50 years ago, but I can remember this T9O railroad was the only link between our part of Ontario, which was north of North Bay, but still a lot further south than James Bay, what do they call it, the James Bay frontier. Cochrane's right on the frontier of James Bay. So when I'm talking about these trains that travel that distance, one year I can remember when I was a young kid hearing about this terrible fire. I think it was in Cochrane, and a number of people were burnt in that fire, and the casualties that were brought down to Haileybury, because Haileybury was the closest hospital, and Haileybury had a big hospital by comparison with anything else around there. So these, I can remember the people being carried off the trains. They were carrying them on wooden doors off of houses and stuff in order to try to keep them comfortable. They put them on anything like slats so they could carry them to the hospital. And they had quite a hike from the railway down to the hospital. And then we're still in Haileybury. And later on, of course, Ann and I had, I was 10 years old and Ann was 12 when we left Haileybury to live in Windsor. But our days in Haileybury, it wasn't all bad. It was good living.
What was the house like that you lived in?
I think I told part of that before, didn't I? About it.
Well, you had an upstairs
It
attic.
was an upstairs house. It was. We had electricity. We didn't have electric heater, electric stove or anything. We did have electric lights. And in our house, Dad had a pretty fair house for the type of community or the type of countryside we were living in. I call it countryside because it was in the town. The town of Haileybury was probably maybe 800 or 900 people, which is big. And Haileybury was also sort of a hub for the other prospectors and the miners. And there were several fairly big hotels in Haileybury, so this is where they made their headquarters, and they'd come back down probably on weekends or whenever they could make it down. They stayed there for a few days for a rest up and feed up one to another. And Haileybury was, I can remember, the street we lived on was Russell Street. And Mom and I have been up there several times since, just to try to familiarize myself with the landscape there, but I couldn't because the town was all burned out in 1922 after we left, you see.
So you went back with your mom?
No, Mom.
Oh, my mom.
We've been up there several times.
Oh, okay.
Did your house burn down?
Well, it wasn't our house by then, but it did burn down, yes. My mom had left the sewing machine in there. She always regretted she lost her sewing machine in that fire at Haileybury. Because we never got back to Windsor, and never got down to Windsor. She left it, we bought the house, so she lost it. But it was a pretty nice house. And
Nice sewing machine.
well, yeah. We also had something that we did get out of that fire because we had moved prior to the fire. We had an Edison phonograph,
Oh, yeah.
which was we played the cylinder records. I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah.
And had a big horn on it. And we used to play that by the hour. You know, that was the only entertainment we had. Unless there were some people in that were singing or something, there was a lot of that all the time. We didn't have a piano. It was always party kind of things going. And just toddy And Tom, Catherine, we talking about, she had a sister and a couple of brothers. They're about my age, and their mother was a friend of my mother's, and her name was Dolly. First saw her talk of Dolly. She was a bit of a wino, I guess, at one time. And her husband Morris was a hard-working guy. Came from a big family of Worleys up there. Mom always used to say the Wallies, but their name was Worley. And her in-laws were very successful florists, but her husband Morris was a sort of an automotive mechanic, and he was always picking up and going. He'd be going up to Kirkland Lake and live up there for a while. He used to drag his family all over the place. And when after we moved to Windsor and left in Windsor, they would occasionally come down to Windsor. I remember one time particularly when they came down, he was driving an old Maxwell, just like the car Max Benny used to talk about. Jack Benny was Maxwell on his radio show, and this Maxwell car had disc wheels on it, and they drove that car to California. And a couple of years later, they come back through our way on the way back up north again, because those people always seem to go away for a while and they come back up there, because another reason I say that is because after that fire, which was so devastating to the people who'd been living up there and born up there and made their home up there, they were all burned up in this big fire that swept right through the bush and burned all the towns out and everything. And in Haleberry, after we had left now, we just get the stories from the people who came down after that fire in 1922, and people were just at loose ends what to do. They're traveling all over the country trying to find people they know or relatives or somebody that could take them in to help them, and so we had a lot of people like that stop at our place in Windsor, and we used to tell some weird stories about how people were standing in Lake Temiskaming there for a full night while the fire was burning the town down. They had to stay in the water to save their lives and stuff like that. And we had neighbors by the name of Sutherland, one of the Sutherland boys who had gone overseas with my dad. He was a fireman in Haleberry. He was killed in that fire. I don't know how it happened, but he was killed anyways, but he was a casualty of the fire. So when we were in Haleberry and Dad was overseas in the First World War, they always seemed to have a lot of friends who were kind of single guys, you know. One guy was been in Mounties. His name was Fred something or other, but he was a big, tall, blonde-haired guy, real typical Mountie type, you know. And he's one of the guys. And was Dad's friend Arthur Hunton, who'd been Dad's lifelong friend, I guess, up there anyway. And there was the Cooper boys. Two of the Cooper boys married one of the Cooper boys married Bertha's sister, Mrs. Cuttaford's son, or daughter rather, and his name was Bill Cooper, I guess. No, he was Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper eventually came back from overseas and went to live in England with his Cuttaford daughter,
With his sister, what?
With his sister, her name was Frida. And let's see now. I think that what Gwen was reminding me about was how these friends of Mom's and Dad's sort of made our place their home, because it was kind of out in an outpost. They'd probably come from England or from Toronto or further down into southern Ontario. So our place was handy to up there, and it became sort of starboard almost at Mom and Dad's place, and off all those guys when they had to go overseas, why had to change all their civvies into their uniforms, why our place would be a place where they stored their uniforms. There was always lines of clothes hanging on clotheslines there up in the upstairs part, all covered with sheets, you know, and sitting there when the guys come back. And we used to get kind of curious about that. And then also,
Didn't Grandma used to change the mothballs all the time?
yeah, she had to do that, of course. Because it got real hot up there in the summertime. But and another thing about that time in history when so many communicable diseases were rampant in the country, like we've all heard what the flu took place after the First World War, and then this was followed by such kids' diseases as measles and scarlet fever and stuff like that. And every time, well, we had a family of 3 at that time, 3 kids, and if one got it, they all got it, and when that happened, we were quarantined for 4 weeks or something. And at that time, you couldn't spend any paper money or anything. Nothing came in or out of that house. So it had to be a case of the guy from the grocery store coming up and talking to Mom through the door or from the street or something, see what she wanted, and he'd bring it, and but you couldn't pay for it unless you paid through the bank or something. But he didn't use checks then like you do now. But anyhow, this is one of the things that then was communicable diseases that were so rampant. And typhoid fever was another bad thing too. It wasn't as prevalent as measles and scarlet fever, but it was, if anybody got typhoid fever, you didn't go to feet first. And that was one of the things that was bad about unpasteurized milk. We had pasteurized milk available, but we also had a source where Mom had always got her milk was from a farmer about a mile away from us. We lived by the railroad track. Nan and I used to go for a walk just about every night with a pail full of milk from Mrs. What's her name? And we'd walk the track and walk back. And I can remember one time we were walking the rails, and when I got my heel and my shoe caught in the rail in the track, and I couldn't get my darn foot out.
Oh no!
Not my foot, but my shoe. And to the point where we were afraid the train was about due to come, so I just had to take my shoe off. But I stayed there and got my shoe out of the track, but I wasn't. I was able to run if I had to. Things like that. And we lived right on the edge of what we called the bush, and the kids, the boys used to play out there a lot. The guys my age used to play there after school, and was one of the things that was that we was playing over there was hazelnuts. Man, they were good. There was lots of them.
Grew what?
Yeah, and of course that lady, Mrs. Waito, that was in one of those pictures there, was our next door neighbor, and her husband worked on the railroad. He was a section man. He used to repair tracks or something. He worked on the track railroad. And his name was Martin Waito. W-A-I-T-O, I think it was. They were Germans, you know. She was very nice. We had no children, you know, so we used to kind of fuss over him and I, more so over him than me, and over him than Mr. Waito would take us kids. He wouldn't say, would you like to go skiing or picking berries? He wouldn't say nice, he'd say, I'm going to pick berries, you want to come with me? And Ann was always more favorable with him than I was. And if there was a fence to climb or something, he left Ann over the fence, but I'd have to climb myself. And if there was a good patch of berries, he'd say, Annie, pick them there. And it was Annie then, not Ann. Annie, you pick here and go over someplace else and pick stuff like that. But despite it all, he was a great old guy. And he came to visit us a couple times in Windsor, and we got a chart out of him. And down to see Detroit and Windsor.
Did he call you Bill or Billy?
Jill.
Did your mom and dad always call you Bill?
I
Not
got
Bill.
Willie at Sunday at school when I started going to school. Willie was
Huh.
I think he got trouble.
Yeah.
Really. So eventually during the time that Dad was overseas, the Cuttifords, their name was Cuttiford, and there was Bertha, was the eldest daughter, and Frida, and the son was named Herbert. Herbert Cuddiford. Can you imagine a guy with a name like that? He looked just like the name too. Herbert worked for Dr. Scholl's. Even back, way back there.
Yeah.
Dr. Scholl's. And he worked there for years and years and years. But as I say, somehow or other, it came to the point of us being Mom packing up us kids.
Your mom packed up your kids and took
We
you.
went down to live with the Cutterfords.
When did you go to Toronto? That was between Halebury and Windsor.
Today,
Toronto was between Halebury and Windsor.
well, during the war, right?
When his dad was
When my
away.
dad was overseas. And the Cutterfords had lived in Halebury, so they knew what it was like up there. They knew Mom and they were good friends with me. So I said, why not come down there with us for a while? Because both those girls worked downtown in Toronto. They one worked at Eden's, the other was at Simpsons or something like that. But in those days, everybody either worked for Eden's or Simpsons and lived downtown, right?
Yeah.
And well, as I say, they lived at Queen on Jarvis Street, just off of Queen. And I can remember when one of my mom's favorite stories was Roy with his. He had a green suit like that, Patty Green, and because it was a Patty Green suit, he got the name of Patty. Everybody called him Patty because just when a kid like this when he grew up, he wore a kitty car. Yeah? And he got the handle Patty from Cork. So everybody knew this kid by the name of Patty from Cork. And
How cute.
he was the life of the party, I guess. And I was the shadow, was brother's shadow, you know. And if anything was any laughs coming, I got the laughs, and etc. But anyhow, he was very popular with the people, and we used to go down to. We just lived about half a block off of Queen Street, and right at the corner of Queen and Jarvis, there was a smoke shop in Billiard Hall. And that was the only place you'd go for penny candy. Go in there and get your penny candy or nickel chocolate bars or whatever. But not milk. You don't have to go from the grocery store around the corner on Queen Street. So Roy'd go down there on his kitty car. He'd ride down just a half a block down. And he'd come back with pockets all full of chocolate bars and gum and stuff. Where'd you get this old man gave him to him, And this was the story of his life. He knew he was right there. But one day, we were both together, and I'd gone for a bottle of milk. Then when the milk came in a glass bottle to me, and something happened that I got that bottle and smashed it on the square, so it was full. So I was standing there, crying my eyes out and screaming my head off, and the boys there with me, laughing it up kind of thing. Some people were stopping and saying, what's the matter? So that time, I guess, once again, Roy's the guy with his hand out, so he got a couple of bucks worth of money from the people to replace the broken milk bottles. But that was great fun. And what else was to happen there? But anyhow, Mrs. Cuddiford, as her name goes, he was a great guy. The girls were great. They were out, in those days, Eden, I think, used to close at noon on Saturday. So the girls would come home, they'd rush home, have lunch, and they'd take us someplace, Hyde Park or someplace, or Scarborough Bluffs or someplace. And if it wasn't them, boy, Herbert would, many's a night Herbert would pick me up on his bike. He rode a bike all the time. And I'd ride on the handlebar or on the crossbar, and he'd take me all over Toronto, show me the different places. The interesting thing was to go on the wide passage and stuff and go down the houses and things down the road. Which we've never seen up in the North Country. But,
Weren't you in Toronto when you thought your dad was coming home from war too?
well, we're coming up to that in August. During that, what's happening in Toronto? Oh yes, Dad was always the guy for sending us stuff, souvenirs or something, like some of those badges down there are a result of those kind of things where people knew that Mom and Dad liked souvenirs like that, so the guys would give Mom and Dad just for their hats or something. That's how we happened to get that collection here. And one year Dad sent me one of those maple leaf, I guess it was a collar, no, it was hat badges. The guys wore on their hats, the maple leaf, the bronze color maple leaf. And I was pretty proud of that, and I put it on my hat. I had one of those green hats with a brim around here and a white stripe down there. So I used to wear it on my hat all the time. And I used to go to Sunday school at Fred Victor Mission. I was down at the front one Sunday afternoon at Sunday school. Someone stole my darn hat with the badge on it. So I couldn't go to Sunday school there. So anyhow, that's where it says as we periodically hear news that somebody's coming home. As soon as a family heard that someone was coming home from overseas, why they'd get all ready for a real homecoming, and there was lots of stuff available for that purpose. And everybody in that circumstance would have a sign, a sign that starts at welcome home, and then all the bunch of stuff that goes with it. So we did hear once that Dad was coming home. So the girls took us down to eat all this stuff, flags and everything like that. We used to have a picture of those around the house. And we had a picture of Harry Ayres with this picture taken in front of it. There was some own stuff there, but I hadn't come across it lately. I don't know what Ann's got, if Ann saved any of Mom's stuff or not. I kind of like to find out sometime, but so it appears that I've talked to Audrey, and she's saying that she'll have a look herself. Stu's the guy that's in charge of Ann's home, so we'll have to wait and see if he's ready to be of interest to me. But anyhow, oh yes, this welcome home that we got word that Dad was coming home, so as I say, the girls all rushed out and got all the stuff in the end. We had the house all decorated up for Dad to come home. Something happened, it was late or something, so he didn't come that particular week. So within a matter of days, why Harry Ayres came home, so he's the guy that got the flag raising and stuff at the house.
That was
Dad
Bertha's
is
husband?
That's Bertha's
Yes,
husband.
he's a great guy. He's ballsy man. Wow. Great guy. He worked at Eaton's too. In those days, everybody either worked at Eaton's or worked for TTC or the cops used to all wear the bobby hat thing, you know.
What happened to Harry?
Harry? Well, he eventually died, as we all do.
But he was young, didn't
When he died?
he? Yeah.
No, he died, let's see, we were in Windsor, I guess, when he died, but you can, you remember when Bertha started visiting us in Toronto, right?
Yeah, she was pretty old then.
Yes, well, yeah, but she had visited Mom a couple times in Windsor after Harry died, and,
She was fairly close to Grandma's age, wasn't she?
oh yeah. Anyhow, they were great days, and I can remember when I started school in Toronto. I tried to go to school in Toronto, at Duke Street School, which nobody here tell of anymore. They all the time say, oh yes, I remember it used to be on Duke Street. I can remember it was near the Robertson's chocolate factory, and once in a while, when Jason around, I'd maybe get into the yard of this Robertson chocolate company and find scrap can thrown out or something, and used to have a kind of an increase on this stuff. Because that was in the area where Cunniford's lived. And so I guess we had gone back to Halebury by the time Dad got back from overseas. And we were only in Halebury, or back in Halebury for maybe 2 years. In the meantime, Dad had come home, and he had gone back to a job at the mines, but the mines, I guess, were flat and dead then, so everybody was heading for Windsor then. That was the roaring 20s, eh? everybody from up there was roaring down to Windsor, including Gene Fredenberg's father, and an awful lot of people from North Shore came down, including Dad, so we were down here, I guess, a couple years ago, we finally arranged for us to go down to Hayward, so that's why we found the house, and to Windsor. We found a house in a little man with, I had 2 girls and a boy, and we lived there for a while. Somewhere, I think as you go through life, you meet certain people in certain places that become fast friends. You know, there's some of our friends that we met at that point in our life, or in my life, that still consider old friends. So that was the beginning of our life in Windsor. 1922. Well, in that period of our time, I guess one of our closest friends was the Carters, Mr. and Mrs. Carter. They were at one time they were partners with the Walkerville Bakery, which was the name was Blackmore, and Ralph Blackmore, who's the professor at Wilfrid Laurier now, is on the radio every Sunday night talking about finances. He's the son of Wallace Blackmore, yeah, but like his parents were partners in the Walkerville Bakery with Dad's friend, Harry Carter, who was a father of a friend of Dad's who worked with Dad at General Motors. His name was Dick Carter. So there's lots of names that I can remember from that area there. We lived at Jaws and Gladstone Avenue. And the guy who eventually became Fred Biddle's boss lived right at the corner where we lived there. And his other friends, Dad's and mother's, their name was Nichols. They used to live down the block, and they were long time friends of Dad's, somehow or other. And I was talking to Gene Fredenberg the other day. Fredenberg came to Windsor about a year before we did. They lived in Walkerville and we lived in Windsor. At that time, we were 2 distinct different towns, eh? And so the Fredenbergs lived in Walkerville, and it was somebody you knew lived in Walkerville, so you lived with those people most of it. And Gene had a brother George, who was my age, and high school, I think. And basically became settled in over there.
How about when you had the house and you had all these borders?
I was 10 years old when I moved to Windsor. The borders you're talking about, I think, are more like star borders. These are guys who used to come if they were in town for a couple of days to stay afterwards. Not paying boarders, I don't think, but they probably wouldn't be guys who would sponge on you either. You know what I mean? Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. You guys used to have a party there?
Oh, yeah.
Saturday nights?
Well, I was in Windsor again. Sorry. It seems like Mom and Dad also had a lot of people in and out of the house, including some paying boarders and good time friends. And shortly after we moved to Windsor, when we first moved to Windsor, we were in with another family. Eventually we got into a home of our own on the same street, right back of the site where Herb Gray's father built Gray's department store, all along Gladstone in Windsor. So when we were there, we had this huge house, it was a 2-story house, and so Mom had lots of room and lots of need, I guess, for boarders, so she took in boarders. And pretty near every Saturday night there was a beer party, what we used to call a beer party. get beer, then you go to a bootlegger. You wouldn't necessarily call it bootlegger because all the wires were cut. So you'd have to get somewhere to the bootlegger to deliver it to you, or you go and get it yourself. Oh, no, I think so. Those are temperate days, eh? You know, it was a real federal offense to deal in liquor or beer in those days. This was long before the 18th Amendment was taken off in the states, long before that. So if you wanted booze, then you'd go to the liquor. There wasn't such a thing as a liquor store, not a liquor vendor store. There were liquor stores as such, where you could get liquor for medicinal purposes, eh? But not like you buy it now.
Medicinal purposes.
Yes, and beer just wasn't available. That's all. It was legal. There's lots of it there, but it wasn't legal to buy or consume beer. So the next thing after that was the advent of 4.4 beer in Ontario, which is 4.4 alcohol content. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here because a lot of things happened before we got beer. Water. Whether you're in Ontario, Canada, or in the States, or if people want to hear. The hard one. Okay, you know. Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah, John Levette got his start about that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, you see the Hawthorne River and anyhow, it was available. No, it used to be when we went to a British American League. That was the OBM. British American. But anyhow, yeah, what I call beer party, which was, we got a prayer piano, right? And us kids would pump the prayer piano, and we'd sing our head sides, and we'd sing our heads off, and it was like a deal. Giving a kiss to everyone. Had a lot of fun. But Dad never invited. If you wanted a beer, he'd just have a candy. And you had a cup of tea. And then the thing. But, he was very truthful, and
He was just a guy for me.
but I know myself going there to school because we were just to have a block away from us. I used to play with the kid. His name was Billy Danaher. And his big brother was a bootlegger. And the bootleggers used to run around and see the regular touring cars there. And same thing applies to, in those days, legal betting was allowable in Ontario, but it wasn't any high profile. It was sort of an under the table kind of thing. People went to the racetrack all the time, and the race season was on, and this fair mutual betting meeting. My dad used to take me out there an awful lot. He used to take me out there on Saturday afternoon, and if he was a horseman or he was a gambler, and many at the time, when he didn't have two points to rub together, he'd have me to give a bookie on the way to high school or to school. On the way back from lunch, take this in and he'd give us a quarter or 50 cents or something, put the phone, and I looked at it and that's just have to have 50 cents to win or 50 cents to pay for something. And yes, Tommy. I was to go on another one, which is a parlay, you see. If you wanted that one, that might go to another one. And a parlay. And I used to do that song all the time. I used to walk in and no good.
You and Roy did a trip on the boat, didn't you?
But anyhow, before I went to the racing there, my dad used to take me, not Roy, because he was 4 years younger than I was. Dad took me on Saturday afternoon. The Woodbine racetrack was not Woodbine. No. That was the racetrack, the racetrack. every turn along. That was the Kenilworth across the road. Kenilworth was across the road, and that was every turn there where the big pad is now. There were two big tracks there, and the Americans used to come over the road because racing was illegal in Michigan. And what used to happen was there used to be a ferry dock, and the Americans come over on the boat, and they was up the Windsor side, would be what we call that dickens line up there, take them off the track. Give the guy a nickel to get a ride in this open touring car with the track for a nickel. It had jump seats on and everything. They were packing with 10 guys in the room. Go off the race. Off the race. But in the times that we lived on Gladstone Avenue, we always seemed to have somebody with you in the room, so we had several boarders, including one guy who had a game leg. Roy and I slept in one bed in this room, and Al slept in another bed. He slept on a single bed. We had a game leg. And we're now trying to get into bed at night. So Roy being Roy, he'd go out in the yard and he'd get an old piece of wood with a lot of nails in it and put it under the seat first. And he'd often come up half cut on the side of the wood. And we'd be kind of waiting for him to hear what he'd got. And he'd be grunting and he's half cut anyway. And he'd run it all the time. He had such a hard time manipulating the game way. And he you hear him maybe sit on his head. And then he'd do something. Goddamn kid. We'd be laughing our heads out. But he was a real lucky man. He just got he could do something. Oh yeah, he was a first class cabinet maker. He worked in some high-paying job in Detroit, and worked in some furniture company or something. And he was quite a craftsman. And we had another friend there. His name was Slim Howell. He was a friend of Dad's. He worked at General Motors in Detroit. He worked at the Cadillac plant. So what he did, I don't know. He was in body work. My dad used to work at the Murray body company in Detroit. Murray was eventually taken over by General Motors. Fisher Body's part of Fisher Body was part of General Motors. But there was Murray Body, which was another company. They disappeared eventually anyway. My dad used to work in this Murray auto body place. He used to have to sand the bodies by hand, hand sand them with sandpaper and water and stuff to get them ready for painting. They just say, here I am, going to work at 6 o'clock in the morning, look up and see the big knee on the sign saying, rub no more or something or other, and here I am going to work and rub these car bodies all day long. But they're always funny to do something.